All right, this is Chapter 1, Lesson 4, Proportional and Non-Proportional Relationships. So we know that two quantities are blank. In that first blank, you're going to write proportional. If they have a constant ratio or unit rate. For relationships in which this ratio is not constant, the two quantities are non-proportional. Okay. So they're proportional if they have a constant ratio or unit rate. So remember, a unit rate has a denominator of 1. Otherwise, they're non-proportional relationships. So basically, what it comes down to is when you create unit rates from the numbers that are given, they'll give you the same number. Okay. So if we look at this, the cost of order versus the pizzas ordered, I have 8/1 because it's $8 for one pizza, which means it's $16 for two pizzas, 24 for 3, 32 for 4, 40 for 5. When I divide all of those out, they all equal $8 per pizza. This is a constant rate, which means it is a proportional relationship. Since all of the ratios are equivalent, ratios, because they have the same value. The next example they give us deals with tickets. So Uptown Tickets charges $7 per baseball game per baseball game ticket plus a $3 processing fee per order. Is the cost of an order proportional to the number of tickets ordered? Explain. For each number of tickets, write the relationship of the cost and the number of tickets as a ratio in simplest form. So I look at the tickets ordered and the cost it is for that. So I have 10/1, which is 10, 17/2, which is $8.50, 24/3, which is 8, and 31/4, which is 7.75, or $7.75. Since the ratio of the two quantities are not the same, notice I have 10, 8.5, 8, 7.5. It's getting smaller every time, which means it's a better deal if you buy more tickets. The cost of an order is not proportional or non-proportional. So you're going to write non-proportional or not proportional to the number of tickets ordered. So I want you to use this information to try the two try-it problems out. Go ahead and pause the video, and when you're done, resume the video and we'll go over the answers together. All right, so now that you've tried the problems on your own, let's look at how to solve them. At the beginning of the year, Isabel had $120 in the bank. Each week, she deposits another $20. Is her account balance proportional to the number of weeks of deposits? Use the table below and explain your reasoning. So, at the beginning of the year, she had $120 in her bank. Notice the time starts at 1. So, each week, she deposits another $20. So, I have $120 plus 20. That gives me the amount that she'll have the first week. So in the first week, she has $140. Now in the second week, she adds an additional $20. So 120 plus 20 plus 20 gives us $160. Finally, you will add $20 to that for the third week. So 160 plus 20 gives us 180. Now we have 3 different ratios that we can use. When we simplify these, and I'm going to use the blank page over here, I have 140/1, and I want to know if that equals 160/2 and 180/3. I can simplify these. So the first one I have is 140, because 140 divided by 1 gives me 140. Then I'm going to take 160 divided by 2. Well, 160 divided by 2 is 80. That doesn't equal 140, which already tells me that this is going to be a non-proportional relationship. But let's continue and make sure that we're correct. So I then have 180 over 3. Well, 180 divided by 3 gives me 60. We can see that none of these numbers are equal, which means we don't have an equivalent ratio, which means that it is non-proportional. So we can come back over here to our answer and write non-proportional. Remember to explain your reasoning. So it's non-proportional because the ratios are not equal. Okay. Next I have at Lakeview Middle School, there are 2 homeroom teachers assigned to every 48 students. Is the number of students at the school proportional to the number of teachers? Explain your reasoning. So the first proportion that I'm going to write is 48 students for 2 teachers. So they've already given me a ratio. Now I can take this ratio and I can actually create a unit rate from it. Remember in the first lesson we talked about how we go from rates to unit rates by dividing them. So 48 divided by 2 is 24 students per 1 teacher. We know that this is going to be a proportional relationship because we've already established that the 48 over 2 is a rate, and we observe that when we divide both of these by 2, we get 24 over 1, which is a unit rate. So these 2 ratios are going to be equivalent to one another. So for the last problem, you can write the ratio of students to teachers is constant. Remember, constant means it doesn't change, right? So the proportion is the same, it stays the same. The ratio is 24 to 1. 24 students to 1 teacher. Since the ratio is constant, the number of students is proportional to the number of teachers. Now remember, they told you to explain your reasoning, so make sure that you're explaining in your own words why the problem is proportional or non-proportional.